I apologize. The attorney scanned it sideways back to us, and that's how we work with it. So, the main difference about this contract and the standard New Jersey Association of Realtors contract is that that contract has no assigning in it. So you can't assign the contract to somebody else. And that's what wholesaling is all about, is locking down a property that makes sense at a very low number, a number that you know you can make money on, and putting it in the contract and then assigning it off to an end cash buyer at a good deal as well. And I'll give you an example of what this client was. They came to me, they were going to be doing this project in Jersey City at 92 Astor. It was a renovated, or it was a brownstone that needed a full gut. They bought it for like 80 grand or something at a bank owned foreclosure auction. Got in a huge fight with her partner to the point where they were both like, screw you, and wanted to get out. So they were willing to sell the property at a discounted number, you know, just to close quick, and that was one of the contingencies. I had to close in 30 days. The issue is I didn't have any money, so I was like, all right, let me put a contract on it. Let me try to assign it to somebody else because I have plenty of clients that do have money. And I'm always I always have my realtor hat on instead of my investment hat. So what I did is I found an assignable contract like that, put it out, started shopping the deal around, and my intentions were to just assign it, make quick 20 grand, move on, go on to a different one. And assigning it is just basically kind of like double closing, or you know, there's an assignment piece of paper. I don't have that, and I should have that, which just assigns the contract over to the other person. The seller knows you made a little bit of money on it. The buyer knows you made a little bit of money on it. You don't want to cleave them on it. But it is completely legal, and people do it all the time without money. So I didn't end up doing that. That's when I found out about hard money loans. Does anybody use hard money, or does anybody know about hard money?
I know.
Okay.
You charge like a certain amount per day.
You get whacked on interest. I mean, you get clubbed. It should not be a legal loan, but it works out well for certain properties if you do have the margin on it. It's nothing like what you would see for a regular purchase. They can close in as little as 5 days.
Isn't it where they want to make sure that it's worth it before they run it out?
Yeah, and you should have made sure it's worth it before that even happens.
Okay.
So a perfect example of anyway, so I found out about the hard money loan, and I decided, you know, let me start exploring that route a little bit. And as I was gaining knowledge with it, people started explaining the process and how it goes, and I'm like, okay, so you're going to check my credit up front. I use asset-based lending here in Hoboken. And then do you check my credit again, like conventional financing would? And they're like, no. I'm like, do you source the funds for the down payment? And they were like, no. I was like, okay. They really just want to make sure that you're not, you haven't filed bankruptcies, you're not a scummy person that has a bad credit record. More so they attach it to the asset, the home, hence asset-based lending. So they don't even check tax returns, they don't do any of that stuff regular banks do. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, well, let me go to my bank and see if I can get a personal loan then. So one $10,000 personal loan from Wells Fargo and 3 cash advances, maxing out my credit cards at $26,000. So I had $36,000 in debt. That was my down payment to get the hard money loan on this property. And I financed construction as well. They'll let you do that. So they'll let you roll. So it was somewhat of a scary thing. And just to go into numbers, I bought that property for $140. I did $90,000 worth of work, and I sold it for $449. So I made $140,000 worth of profit. So that's worth having that stress in your life. That's worth having.
How much did you put into it?
I put $90,000 into it.
Okay, and got what?
I sold it for $449 off market, so I don't have to pay realty commissions.
$449?
$449. It's 92 Astor Place. You guys can look it up. That's actually the contract from it. My girlfriend was ready to kill me through the whole transaction because it was it's not what you do. You just don't do it. It's like the dumbest thing, but it really isn't in hindsight. And that was my first one. Again, netted quite a bit of money on it, and all in all, it went smooth. I mean, I learned a lot about the construction process. Jersey City sucks. You guys have to work with them with permits and everything like that. So those are the two main ways. Wholesaling is a huge thing. People do it all the time. Like I said, don't try to cleave somebody on a price because you're going to get a bad name, and that's when you can run into fiduciary responsibilities and whatnot.
What was the time frame on that?
I closed January 12th, and then I sold it. The actual end closing was October 15th. So it's not a bad. It was quick. It was, you know. Again, I learned a lot on it too, and we were supposed to close. I was supposed to close June, so it pushed back a little bit, and it wasn't fun. But during that whole time, I started kind of flipping my mindset and looking for other transactions, and not wearing my realtor hat as much, and more of an investor kind of mindset. So I'm always talking to people. I'm talking to people on the block, trying to find the next deal. I know I'm going to have 140 grand after this. I'm like, all right, where do I get the next one? Where do I get the next one? So then, and always communicating with realtors, I found another deal. I get a call when I'm in Austin at Mega Camp from Ruben Moscaso, who's at this office with us. And he's like, my buyer just backed out of an approved short sale. I need somebody to close in 7 days or it gets foreclosed on. And I was like, all right, well, what are the details? What are the numbers? He gives me the whole spreadsheet, everything like that. I look it up while I'm in Austin, put a contract on it from there. And then that's when I went and started shopping investors for it. I would have done hard money on this if I had to, but then I really didn't have money because I had 3 maxed out credit cards, personal loan, and a hard money loan. So I shopped it out, and I ended up getting the deal made so much sense that I ended up getting a cash investor to come in as a 50-50 partner with me on it. This is the second property I bought. We closed 7 days later when I came back from Austin for $340,000. 364 Webster up in Jersey City Heights. So now we have that property, put that property back on the market without doing anything to it, and sold it for $442 a week later. So, yeah. The deal was real good, and then the buyer ended up yanking us around. So we ended up killing that transaction, and we're actually in the process of refinancing that property, keeping the tenants that are in there. We're supposed to be delivered to us vacant. We ended up getting tenants in there. So we refinanced out, and now we're in contract on a third property. So that's my third one without having any money. The thing that you have to be careful with flipping, and something that, just keep in mind, obviously talk to your accountant, is you get taxed like all hell too. If you hold a property for 12 months, you get taxed short-term capital gains, 15 to 20% depending on your income. If you hold a property for less than that, you get taxed at your regular income rates. If you make good money, you get hit 40, 45% on that. So 140 quickly turns into not as much. If I held the property for 3 or 4 months, I would have been taxed half the amount. So April 15th is going to be fun this year. And yeah, I mean, there's not, selling Dan to fill an hour is going to be, somewhat difficult, but I just figured we'd kind of go into like a Q&A sort of thing, and I'm sure people have questions and whatnot that, I could help with, but there's not too much to my story and what I did, but that is how I ended up with, 3 properties now without having money, and I still have my funds available from that last one. So we're actively pursuing other stuff too. But,
go. Yeah, so I was always curious. I've been looking more into this investor myself too.
Yeah.
So with capital gain stuff, like you're always going to get hit. It's just that with the bank not making so much percentage, you're
right.
Whatever. Okay. And then the other thing, as far as partnership, it's really just convincing the investor, like sweat equity, like I'm earning my 50% by lining this up, teeing it up for you, right?
Yeah, and what I found too is to first tie the property up. You be the one that has it. That's what gives you the leverage over somebody else. A lot of investors are going to be like, an investor can lay out $340 and make $55,000 back on that money in 90 days. That's a good return. You need to know the deal's going to do that. But if you can pitch that on paper, and they're all over the place. I mean, there's like Lenny Torres. I don't know if you guys know those guys up in the Heights. a lot of them are really heavy through the distressed properties right now. It's just more so what I've learned is opening your eyes to that. And my typical sale for real estate was always Hoboken condos, Hoboken downtown Jersey City, just your cookie cutter 500K. I didn't play around in that world, and it just started opening up to me, and I kind of flipped my mindset to it, and you start to realize it's everywhere. I mean, those deals are everywhere. People are making a ton of money on them, and as a realtor, you have to be careful with your fiduciary responsibility and whatnot. But like 364 Webster, for instance, that was a short sale that was approved. I wasn't the realtor on it. I wasn't the realtor on the buy side or the sell side, so my fiduciary responsibility doesn't come into play whatsoever. It's on them. With the one at 92 Astor, I disclosed from up front that I'm a realtor and that I'm going to be doing the exact same thing they were planning on doing with the property, which is flipping it, which they were fine with. They needed the money at the time. So it's just really, while you're prospecting, while you're looking for deals, what I found is that, rather than just wear both hats, like be open to the whole concept of you're going to come across old school Italian people here in Hoboken that are willing to sell their properties for a lot less than, like multifamilies, for instance. I got a guy in Washington right now that's looking to sell a 10-family building for quite a bit of money, but the point is he won't list it. So he won't bring it to that open market, which really demands that retail price. So these people are willing to release properties at a good amount of money, and it just boils into your daily prospecting and looking all over for deals and talking to people. And it really goes hand in hand pretty well with your life as a realtor too, because you should be doing it. You already should be talking to a lot of people with properties. And then you just decide whether or not does it make sense for me to be a realtor on this one, or does it make sense for me to be an investor on this one? Another thing I do quite a bit is, and I'll extend it to you guys too. If you guys have a good deal and you don't want to get into it, I'll give you both sides of the transaction. She'll be the buyer and seller's agent. You get double commission, and then if we're flipping it or we're renting, whatever the case may be, you're going to be the realtor on that end too. So there's potential to make a decent amount of money on a good deal just as a realtor if you're leveraging the right people too. Dave DeVoe, who's in this office, he'll buy anything that makes sense too. He's the one who taught me. And he has a huge portfolio. He only started about 2 years ago now. So it just continues to grow. And I think the biggest thing is just flipping the mindset and being open to those deals. I mean, I had 827 Garden. I sold that to a client of mine for $370, knowing that it was going to sell as soon as somebody moved into it because it flooded with Sandy. It was fully renovated. It just had this like cold feeling, because nobody had lived there. I said move there for like 3 months, 4 months, and it'll be worth $450 probably when you're done. You'll make a couple bucks on it. We ended up selling that for $494 just 5 months later. So that was all he did was move into the unit, put his nice furniture in there, showed that somebody lives there, cleaned up the construction dust. And he sold that for 125 or whatever more, or 120 more than he paid for it in 6 months. So that was like my last deal that I let go as a realtor. And now I look at all of that stuff too.
What's the criteria for tying up the deal? So like when you came to Astor, you need to show you have down payment money, and then like.
So that's a good question. That's a good question. Hard money lenders will give you a pre-approval without doing their research. And I don't know if you guys noticed that they really don't mean anything. I can call any lender right now and say, give Joe Schmo a pre-approval, and they'll write one for me if I want them to. That doesn't mean anything. If you look at the last page of the contract, I did put up $5,000, only $5,000 deposit money on that one. But if I didn't close in 30 days, that was gone. That was also all that was gotten though. There was an addendum to sign off on, I don't know if you're aware, but deposit money, if you have 10% in contract or whatever, it doesn't mean they can only sue you. They can only take the 10%. They can sue you for more than that. You have an open liability if they can prove bigger damages than just that 10%. So that was an important thing. I was willing to part with that $5,000 if I couldn't bring the deal together for some reason, and that was in there. There's also a lot of outs too. I mean, you could drag out attorney review on somebody. You can get out on inspection contingencies. You know, you're buying homes that have issues. So if you can leave, I had to waive home. No, I didn't waive home inspection. I don't think on that. Or maybe I did. I don't remember. I knew I liked this property, so I wasn't, you know, too crazy about doing everything the seller wanted me to do. I mean, I was crazy about doing. I did whatever they really wanted. But yeah, you can get out of something on a home inspection contingency pretty easily. Just give the seller a wrong list. It doesn't make sense, and boom, you're done. If you can't find somebody. Again, there's risk involved. It gets a little scary, but if you think about it, it's like you have clients do it all the time. You can get out of them. What's that?
I found a bank, though, banks drag it out for a very long time, where they can drag it out for a long time.
For
Once you put an offer in,
yeah,
and all the numbers, everything looks good, but for them to decide
whether or not they're going to take
the
it.
offer, yeah, it takes so long.
But you got to throw a lot of things out there, and the stuff sticks. I mean, it's got to make sense for you. Sometimes it's better to tie up a property when a bidding war, decide if it makes sense then, and then terminate it if it doesn't. And yeah, I have clients that do that just on regular purchases too, just with your, you know, win the bidding war, do what you have to do to get the contract, and then really look into the numbers, because it's a lot easier to cancel something once you've already won it.
Right. What do you think of auctions?
So I personally have never purchased at an auction. I do know people that have, like, you know, Dave DeVoe bought 101 Park right here for $660, and I sold the next day for $815. That was a good one. Okay, you had to lay out $660 cash though.
Yeah.
On the co-house, it was on a co-house,
What's that?
it was on a co-house sale, sure sale.
Yeah, sheriff sale. Sheriff sales, they make you, I believe it's 20% down, and then you have 30 days to come up with the funds. Yeah, I've just never actually sat in an auction. There's a lot of homework that you should do. If you're looking at the list, which are you on the list?
No, I know all about it.
Okay.
And it's just, it's hectic.
It's a different world. It's a different animal than what I get my home. The nice thing about doing a regular purchase like this is you get your home inspection after you're in contract. You can kind of do it straight up like that. Auctions, you don't get to go into the property. You get drive-bys.
Mm-hmm.
You should run a soft title search before you buy those, or before you even bid on them, because you don't know what you're going to uncover. 364 Webster had an $8,600 water lien on the property, and then 92 Astor had a $5,800 water bill. So those are things that you don't account for. Fortunately for me, on 92 Webster, the title company didn't catch that water bill when we closed, so we were able to get them to pay it. But again, that's a regular transaction. That's the auction. You'd be on your own if you didn't catch that up front. That's your water bill then. But yeah, the auctions are. I know people that make a lot of money with them. They are getting a little crazy though too. A lot of people, we're in that bubble right now. People are looking for them. Everybody's flipped crazy. So sometimes the auctions end up bidding out at retail. And that's, you know, I would never buy anything speculating on what's going to happen 3 or 4 months from now. You know, you got to buy it in the now, and you need to be able to buy it with. If you do close on it, you need to have the opportunity to fire sale it and get out, still make a couple bucks, but just get out before. You know, that's the one thing that's my biggest concern is seeing that market turn. I got licensed in 07, so I saw it, I felt it, and that's a scary time. So just, you know, keeping a pulse on that in the back.
Is there a way that you just prospect and if these deals happen to fall through, then you decide there, or do you specifically prospect for these investor deals? And if you do that, then
We prospect as realtors, and if we hear something that could benefit us investor-wise, that's when that hat goes on. But we're always coming from the place of a real estate agent. And like I said, you're going to find things that clients that they just don't want to list. But if they get this number, they'll say that to you on the phone. If I could sell it for 340, you know, I'll do a deal right now, but I'm just not ready to list. Well, if the market's 410 on it and they don't know that, okay, but I'll buy it for 340. you know? A lot of the ones that you're gonna find through prospect are gonna be the distressed properties though. You're gonna find like aged expired, somebody who hasn't really opened up. They'll start opening up their whole can of worms and what's going on and why they can't sell or what happened with the bag or this. In which case you can hop in and, Martin Brodsky's legal team with the short sales, I'm not crazy about Martin as a regular attorney, but his short sale process is pretty clean. He gets you to the closing table pretty quickly. And, for a short sale, I'm not necessarily in a rush to close either because it's a growing market right now. So if I can lock something up in a contract, it's just going to make more sense as the market continues to grow. But yeah, that's how, we're always working on a few things out there. We always have our eyes and ears open. If you make it known that you're looking to purchase properties all the time, realtors love that. A lot of realtors love that. They're like, oh, great. Yeah, I'll take double commission. Awesome. I don't have to do anything. Because there's no risk involved from that end. So that has a lot to do with it. I have people bring me deals and kind of put them in front of me because they know I'll buy it from them if it makes sense and close and they'll get paid in 20 days. So, yeah.
Based on your experience, what type of property is more popular by flipping it? For example, 3-family, condo, co-op, single family.
Where I see it work best is like through the Heights, Union City. So it's going to be a lot of 2 and 3 families. If I had my choice, I would do condos all day. Condos is the least, amount of work. I could rebuild the whole condo for like 50 grand, worst case scenario. Everything else is going to fall on the condo association if there's a roof issue or something like that. So I personally would love to do like what Dave did in 101 Park and just make, 150 grand in one day. And
so do what, condo?
Yeah, I like condo because there's only so much that can be wrong with a condo.
Right.
With homes, you go into 37 Astor Place was brought, well, not necessarily brought to me, but something that I had my eye on and we were trying to buy. And if you drive past that, the front of the building completely drops down, and it's all brick on it. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Astor Place. It's a beautiful street. It's all red brick homes, all row houses, and they fetch a good value on that road. But the nice thing is they're still distressed properties. So this one came up on the market for $99,000 as a short sale. We were trying to buy it, and when I went and looked at the property, right by the front steps, all the bricks just start to drop down, and they're dropped like 3 or 4 inches. So it's not like the building's going to fall over tomorrow, but it's going to be very difficult for me to flip the property without correcting that. So I see something major there in regards to structural or having to bring an engineer in. And on top of that, that's a historic neighborhood. So you have to do it to their code. You have to match that. So I see that as that's a nightmare. It's listed at $99,000, so, or it was listed, somebody bought it, but it was listed at $99,000, so they definitely factored that into the list price. For me, I don't know enough about that stuff to get into something that is dealing with like a blatant structural issue that the eye can see very easily. So, but, it might not have been that big a deal. Maybe it's 40 grand to fix, I don't know. Somebody bought it. And then stuff on the MLS, just be careful because the market is very hot even for distressed properties, even for short sales. We've bid on a lot of properties. We've lost a lot. I've seen 29 Belmont. I tried to buy that. I lost it at a number that I thought was insane because nobody knew what I had. 92 Astor's right behind it. I did that off market, so nobody knew what I had that in contract at. And whoever won that bidding war, I was like, I don't know, how could you even offer that? You have, it's insane. You would have to own a Home Depot to be able to do it at that, type of margin. So that's the thing. Just be careful. I think anything that's on market is pretty much, there's just not really money to be made there. There's so
That's what I've
many.
done too, I found that the prices were so high, that even if you renovated,
Yeah,
your ROI isn't very good, because how are you gonna rent it to make 5% or
Right.
cap rate?
and you know, and I see some that are on the market too, like that you can make 20 grand, maybe you can make 30 or something like that. I don't think that that's my number for me to get involved in a property is I have to make 50 as a minimum. So I don't, for me that, I mean, maybe your margin is higher, but I think that that's a good, because then if it drops a little bit under that, you still make enough money. Most of the time it'll go over that, that's great. But,
When you say 50, before tax or after?
before tax, yeah, just gross. You know, that goes into a whole other thing, and you could talk to your financial advisor about that too, but you can buy properties out of a SEP IRA too, I don't know if anyone's familiar with that. As a 1099 employee, you can put, as being self-employed, you can put up to 25% of your income or up to $53,000, whichever happens first. And you can actually, that's all tax-free, you defer the taxes until you pull it out at retirement. So if you're putting 53 grand in a year, which is, you know, you gotta be making 210 a year to be able to do that much. But if you're putting 53 grand in a year, you can buy a property through the IRA and then put your money back in tax.
But is that only one time you do that, or?
No, you keep doing it.
Oh, you can.
Yeah. So if the max you can put in is 53 grand a year, let's say you put 53 grand down on a property and you make back 53 grand, then you can put, then you're at 106 and you're still within that 12-month period, and that's all tax deferred as well. Again, talk to your financial advisor. That's a pretty,
Some of the condo in Union City, the tax is pretty high, like 15 grand, 12 grand.
Yeah.
Do you find it difficult to resell it?
in Union City,
Yeah.
what's the, I mean, it all depends.
Yeah, some of the condos way too high, 15 grand for tax.
The tax, yeah, the tax rate in Union City is 3.2% as opposed to Jersey City's 2.3, so
Right.
I'd rather be in Jersey City. Hoboken's only 1.4.
Right.
So that goes down quite a bit. Union City as a realtor too is a little tough to sell just based on those taxes. It's like Montclair has high taxes too.
Right.
Why should Union City tax?
I tell everybody, I tell my clients, with taxes, just think of it as like a corrupt government. Or like a business where a lot of people should be fired, but they don't get fired. It's a business that's not being run properly, and that's why it goes up so much. Just like your condo fees too. If those are, you see the crazy ones, it's because somebody mismanaged that property for 20 years. But yeah, you get that question all the
Who's
time.
the hard money lender you said you used?
So I use Dan Leiden from Asset Based Lending. They're here in Hoboken.
And
Dan
that
Oh yeah, let's go into that a little
was,
bit
it was
too.
just him you used that one time, or
Yeah, I've only done the hard money
cash
once.
was done, right?
Wait,
Yeah.
what is his name again?
Dan Leiden, Leiden. And I actually tried to get them and Kyle Jace, Kyle Jacey. I can give you their contact information, but if I do this again, I wanted them here with me. This is the worst week to try to get anybody real estate related to come to an office because everybody's having a website.
I don't really know can you kind of hard money look?
Yeah, so a hard money loan, they'll give you, in my instance, they gave me, I had to put 20% down, but that's where those personal loans and the maxed out credit cards came from.
Mhm.
So they let me do that, or I don't even know if they knew that I did that, but it worked. They charge you for the first deal, like I was saying, it's high rates, so almost like a credit card. The first deal they do, at asset-based lending, you pay 4 points on the loan amount. So I rolled the construction into my loan amount, which brought it up to, I was factoring 45,000, I had never done it, so I was factoring 45,000 worth of construction. When I first got into the transaction, it ended up being 90, cost more than I thought. So, but the loan amount on that with 20% down was $172,000. So I paid 4 points on that, which came out to what, 6,800, I think, for quick math. Right about 6,800. You pay that at closing. That's their like instant money. That's their big on giving you the money. After that, you pay 14% interest. It's an interest-only loan for 12 months. So that worked out on the 172. It was $2,000 a month. And they give you the money for construction in 4 draws. You have to put a draw schedule together. And they released it for me. It worked out to like 11.5 per draw. So You get the draw for the 11.5, you do the work, they come in and inspect it again, make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Much like a 203K loan, I don't know if anybody's familiar with those. It's gonna be like that, but you just don't get cleaved with the rates in 203K. But 203K, you have to be your primary residence and you have to hold it for 6 months before you flip it. 203K is not a bad product for it. Just think 203K. It's a very similar product to that without any guidelines, really. 203K, you have to like follow everything they want you to do. You have to use a 203K contractor that's coming
I
in.
thought it was just a licensed contractor. I didn't know it had to be one of, like, somebody they.
You can pick them, but they have to be like 203K approved, from my understanding.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of the issues. I was gonna do 203K on this too, because you go as little as 3.5% down, and that would have worked. But they only gave me a 30-day close, which I couldn't do with 203K. So I ended up paying more. But really, I mean, when you think about it, with the points, which was 6,800, plus the interest, which was $2,000 a month for 9 months, that's 18,000. You know, plus that 68. So it's really not much. It's like $25,000 to have a cash partner come in. It's
Are you
not.
flipping everything, or can you hold on to these properties with like?
So 364 Webster, which I have in the Heights, that's a 2-family. That's the one we refinanced out of.
Okay.
So we're holding that. That's a long-term hold. As it is right now, it's like a 7.8% cap rate, and we're working on getting those tenants out in the nicest way possible. It's supposed to be delivered to us vacant to bring those rents up to market. The issue is they've been living there for quite some time. So as it is, it performs well, but we can get it to perform better, and that's our like baby. I mean, for me, the goal is to have tons of properties paying rent.
But are you partners with most people in your investments, or do you have some?
I don't have any on my own.
Okay.
How long do you have to be in, occupied place for 203K again?
You have to own it for 6 months, but I would talk to somebody who lends on
I thought it
203K.
was 2 years.
No, that's right. That's like,
Primary residence.
you have to, I think you actually have to sign something at closing saying that you intend to be there for 2 years.
Okay. So
They don't want to do
that's why you didn't
203K
do
to
that.
flip. Yeah, the 203K loan's not really a flipper's
It's not an
loan.
investment thing, yeah.
You can certainly use it for that, but I don't know. I didn't feel like messing around with the government.
Oh.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, and they probably would never catch you, and nothing would happen. But for me, this hard money product is 100% what that's for. And it's like I said, you just need to make sure you have margins in there. You know. Any other questions? I think where else?
Those advances on credit cards, though, that's kind of scary. That's all what I think is.
Yeah,
Just kind
What
of,
is the percent, like 14 to 19?
for 2 months.
it was like 23%.
Oh, okay.
23% after how long?
The cash advances, they always hit you with a higher APR than your regular purchase. I think my carry on those was like, I think it was like $900 a month or something. It wasn't crazy.
Okay.
I got a good way to get around that essentially is, what sometimes if I'm in need of money, like you get a new credit card and they offer you, say you get a 10,000 limit or whatever.
Yeah.
For 15 to 21 months, 0% interest, you just pay a small fee.
Yeah.
So, you do that with multiple credit cards.
Yeah.
I made a movie.
But yeah, the main thing is, yeah, you have to have good credit. You know, you can't.
Balances transfers.
Yeah, you got to be able to play with the credit a little bit with that. And then again, the other option, like I first started on, I've never done it. My intentions with 92 Astor were to do it. Ended up doing the deal. I'm glad I did the deal. But you can wholesale, and wholesaling's, people do it like crazy. The other thing too is if you meet a wholesaler, get on their lists because they're sending deals out to wholesale all the time. They're always sending off-market stuff that they're finding. And again, You're not dealing with any fiduciary responsibilities to the seller at that point because it's somebody else bringing you the deal.
But you never gone that way, right? With wholesaler?
No, I always look at their lists though. I'm on a couple different lists that come around.
How do you do?
How you get to-
Who do you get a list?
Yeah, I kind of got mine through like networking.
Networking,
Yeah. If you go, so again, it has to do with opening your mind a little bit. And like when I'm prospecting, like for instance today, I had somebody that wrote me back on a property, a for sale by owner that I reached out to in Morristown, because I'm from Morris County, so I do business out in Morris County as well. So I reached out to him, and then his response to me was, hey, I see Hoboken in your mailing address. This property is actually already in contract, but I do have others. And then I wrote back to him, are you a wholesaler? And he's like, yes. And I was like, okay, I will keep you posted with your list. So it's just about spotting. If you see something on his Craigslist ad, was very, like gave it away, because he wrote, buy for this amount, put this much into it, and your ARV, like your return on investment, at the end of it is X amount. And when somebody's, that's not a regular owner who's breaking down numbers like that.
Yeah.
That's somebody who does this. Yeah.
And wholesalers just mean somebody who's selling properties off market.
Yeah, they're buying it for low, very low, with the intention to make a couple bucks on it and still sell it to a cash investor or somebody willing to close quickly for very low. They're usually going to be properties that are distressed to need work. So conventional financing isn't going to work, and it's not going to be your retail end buyer that's going to want to buy it either, from what I've seen. So,
Right, well, maybe put Kyle JC's meetup group on the board.
So Kyle JC
Flippers
is
and funders.
yeah, yep. Yeah, if you guys want to give me your emails, I can send out Kyle. So he does networking events. If you go on like biggerpockets.com too, I mean, these are all guys that are doing this for a living. And there's people that are just wholesaling and they're running an insane volume at any given time. They're not putting any of their own money out, and they're just finding the deals. But again, the wholesaling is something I don't know as much. But Kyle Jason from what is it? Alpha. From Alpha Funding. He was one of the people that I asked to come here. He's a hard money lender, but they play in that wholesale crowd too. They kind of go hand in hand. So yeah, the flipping, the rehab and hold, rehab and sell, wholesaling, that all ties directly into what you guys are doing for a living anyway. So why not have a piece of it? It's just a good way to make a couple extra bucks while you're being a realtor. Do you know Kyle JC personally?
I do, before we got into that, but then I randomly got an email from Flippers and Funders in Surf City, and it's a pretty good meetup group. And then everything from Keller Williams agents in like Monmouth County.
Yeah, they do
Morris
these
County.
big networking events. They do them at Teak here a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great way to meet wholesalers. I mean, they're all over the place.
Yeah, so I randomly, I guess, from cards that I handed out, I'm randomly getting some wholesale lists mailed to me too, opportunities of places I've never heard of, people I've never heard of.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's just like the auction. You got to look at the list. There's a lot of dogs on there. There's a lot of things that you wouldn't want anything to do with. A lot in Newark and Irvington. People are tying up property there like crazy. I won't touch that. I don't know that market. I'm sure there's money to be made there, and I know people that do high volume for those areas. For me, that does not excite me.
Do you only do New Jersey or do you do New York as well? Or no?
No, I've only done New Jersey. I mean, if there was something that somebody could, I don't know that market, if somebody could really lay out something nice on paper for me and make it make sense, then I'd be open to going anywhere. I don't care. But I like the comfort level of knowing, like 92 Astor, for instance, we appraised, the appraiser had us appraising at 309. I sold it for 449. And I knew I was going to go north of 4 on it. But the appraiser, when we were buying it, only gave us 309 on our finished value. So it's nice being able to know that market well enough to be able to say, despite someone's legal or not expert opinion, and that's all he does all day long, he missed it by 140 grand. So I like having that advantage. And even out in Morris County, if I were to do something out there, I don't really know that market like I know it here. But that's the thing, I mean, you can figure out a market pretty quickly. You guys all have the resources to do it. But yeah, the biggest part is just having the mindset and flipping out and making it known that you guys are looking for transactions and putting your stuff out there. And when you find it, come talk to me or whatever, and I'll tell you what you need to do and tie it up. And then you guys can start, shopping investors or talk to hard money lenders. And again, just making it known makes things come across your desk all the time, because realtors love cash buyers. And cash buyers don't actually have to have cash to buy cash. So, cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yeah, I'm always, if anybody has any questions or they see something or they want me to look at a deal to see if it would make sense, let me know.
Another copy of,
Contract?
yeah, the contract. See, that was a wholesale contract, right?
That's a contract that I would be able to use if I wanted to wholesale.